So Unite round is over, and don't really know what to say at this point. People say it's a success. People said it's a failure. I'll say, you know what? I'm not even gonna say success or failure. Like, I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed being there. I enjoyed attending my 6 games. I thought like everything they've done, the A-Leagues and their efforts, turn this weekend into like one hell of a match week. Like, I do think they've done well, A-Leagues, but unfortunately, in response to the fans, I don't really know who to blame for. I'm not really blaming the A-Leagues for this happening. I would sort of half blame fans for not really showing up on the back of some not as decent crowds we saw during the weekends. Like, I get that it's in Sydney, people won't even bother. Like, if the game's not gonna be in their vicinity. I don't know, but I feel like, again, it's a one-off round. I feel like people would have, like, for once decided, okay, I think for this weekend, this seems pretty cool. I might travel and go there. Yeah, not a lot of people did that, which is a real shame. Oh, and if you're wondering, what is the shirt I'm wearing? Well, during Sunday's match at Combank, a city mascot gave it to me. I cannot remember the name, but I'm pretty sure this is the same kind of shirt you get for the t-shirt cannons that they did. And this is it. It's not even A-League related. It's just Liberty. I was honestly expecting this to be like a Unite round shirt or an A-League shirt or something, but no. It's just Liberty. You know what? Screw this. I'm changing back to my City shirt. Much better. Much better. This is A-League related, so let's move on. So first things first for this video, I'm going to quickly just run through my experiences in Sydney in relation to the A-Leagues and Unite rounds. I was extremely happy to be there. I mean, I know others weren't, and especially me for City men and women losing both games somehow not scoring a single goal during the Unite round. But other than that, incredible stuff. Because I've never been to Combank or Allianz before, and being there for the first time, and especially for such a round like Unite rounds, it was absolutely incredible. Even when it wasn't like too many people there, it was good to see fans from all clubs attending. And the football for the games I saw, most of them was pretty decent to watch. I will say, I mean, apart from City versus Western Sydney men's and women's, I guess. Like, the football I saw from all the 5 out of 6 games I attended, which were the men's, it was incredible. Especially, I don't know, if I were to pick my favorite or the best one I saw, I think it would be 2, because I just can't choose one. I would say the MacArthur versus West United one, where it ended 3-3, and the Perth versus Wellington one, which ended 4-3 in Wellington's favour. Those two, they were an absolute joy to watch. Both at Combank as well. I will say I think I enjoyed Combank more than Allianz. So I mean, Allianz is a beautiful stadium, don't get me wrong, but just, getting around it is a bit tough. You know what? They're both unbelievable stadiums. I don't even know why I'm trying to compare Combank and Allianz. They're still absolutely amazing football stayings. Getting to and from the venues was, simple enough. Being in Sydney and staying by nearby hotels and whatnot. I was staying in somewhere in Western Sydney. And it's good because 4 out of the 6 games I went to were at Combank Stadium, so it was about a 20-minute walk or so, which is good. But again, getting there to and from was fine, but just the rain. We're in the summertime, and there was just constant rain during the walking to the games, during the games, and walking out of the games. I just have no clue why it was raining so much, especially for the fact that I was planning to go to the live site on at the end of Saturday's games. The problem is, like, me being from Melbourne and not having any other transport, and being in Sydney, my only form of transport I could take is trains, but I'm pretty sure there's like no trains can run after a certain point at the end of the day. And if I went to that live site, regardless if it happened or not, if I went to that live site, I would have basically no way of getting home from central Sydney all the way back to my hotel in Western Sydney. Like, that was just not happening either way. And the fact that the live site didn't even happen is just, I don't know if you can call it peak A-League, but I'm just going to call it peak A-League. They said that the control center was flooded or something, which I know there was a shit ton of rain, but how can the control center be flooded and also be showing big bash? Like, I was so confused in that moment, but luckily my TV in my Western Sydney hotel had, 10, so I could watch the Socceroos vs India game. Johnny Boss scores for Australia! Woo! And apart from that, I don't even know what else to say about my experiences with Unite Round. I mean, it was good being there. I loved the football. Good experiences overall. I mean, I guess that's that. I don't know if I have anything else to say for it. I mean, you can check out my tweets I guess, about Unite round. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about Unite round, but those were my experiences. So now we're gonna recap on my mostly horrible but decent predictions during the Unite round for men's and women's games. Honestly, I don't know if I deserved these my predictions to go wrong, man. I mean, I'm glad that I got the MacArthur vs Western game right. Like, people thought Western are doing horribly this season. I don't think they'll get any sort of performances. But again, neither was MacArthur, and like both of them weren't at their home anyway, so I saw it could go either way. And again, this was a classic football match. It was good to watch from both sides, and I expected a draw, and there you go, we got a draw. And now I'm embarrassed about this one, man. It was City against Western Sydney. I said we'd win, despite Western Sydney being a comeback. I have no words for this game, man. I genuinely thought City would be at their decent performances that they were doing in their previous matches, but no. Just no. That didn't happen at all, and despite the fact we might have gotten an obvious penalty for handball at the end, I mean, that still doesn't justify us, our horrible performance, man. I expected so much more than City this game. That's why I thought we'd win. And I basically saw nothing from Western Sydney the second half. And a little bit of the first as well. I mean, Western Sydney, they had their fair share of chances in the first half. But nothing happened the second half until that penalty, man. Or that disallowed penalty, anyway. Nothing happened. I'm just so embarrassed for that one. I'm so sorry. But let's move on to Central Coast and Melbourne victory. Look, I somehow never would have saw Central Coast getting back into this game. Especially after the penalty they gave away. Even before the penalty they gave away and after. Central Coast just weren't at it. You know, they weren't getting any good balls through. They were getting in right positions, but they just couldn't get good finishes on. And victory, they were taking their chance as well. It was 1-0 victory, and honestly, I just never saw Jingreek equalising for Mariners in the 89th minute. I never saw that coming, so that's why I thought victory would win, but, well, there you go. And I will say, this was another classic game, and I don't know if I should say this was another classic between MacArthur Western and Perth Wellington. But honestly, the reason I'm not saying that is because while Sydney had a good start, they just lost it. They just completely lost it towards the end of the first half when they went 3-1 down to Adelaide. Me thinking that Sydney will be at home, they'll have the sort of support that'll like make them not lose, but their defense was just absolutely shocking in that first half. And I guess for that fourth goal as well, but it was a header. Can't really do much with headers, but I'm surprised Sydney were able to get back into this game, especially with the disallowed. I think there was a disallowed goal as well for Sydney. It could have gone either way. I don't think Sydney played too bad overall. It's just the defense really needs some sort of work. And I didn't think Adelaide would be scoring that many goals against them. So that's why I thought Sydney would have their performance. Adelaide won't score too many, so that's why I thought it'd be a draw. But Adelaide win. That's football. What do you do? Now this one of the more controversial ones. Now, this was the only A-League men's match I didn't watch fully, because during this time, well, I wasn't at Allianz. I was at Combag for Sunday's doubleheader, but I watched the highlights, and I really do think Newcastle deserved to win this one, man. Like, Newcastle, they had the goals that they deserved. They had their chances. Brisbane, I don't know how the hell Brisbane won this game. I mean, they got lucky with a penalty. I think their goals were a bit scrappy. I don't know what to say about that one. I am shocked that Brisbane managed to win this one and Newcastle didn't. And this one could have also gone either way. Perth against Wellington, 4-3 in Wellington's favour. Despite Perth being 11th, Perth put up a pretty good fight. And I don't know, I really still felt like Wellington will put up a decent performance and they'll get their goals and whatnot. I mean, still some bad things went in the way of Perth, and that kind of caused Wellington to, you know, take advantage for most of the game. But, you know, I got my prediction right, and I'm happy with that, of 4-3. I think that's how it would have went anyway. It's not that nothing against Perth. I feel like they did phenomenal, especially with Sushinya's goal. That was incredible. Definitely worthy of the goal of the week. And the unfortunate thing is I never saw it. I was filming the rain, because, you know, the rain was just dumb here in Sydney, and then all of a sudden Perth score. I didn't even see it. God damn it, I didn't even see it. But, you know, whatever. That's just my life. And moving on to the women's games, starting off with Perth and victory, or victory against Perth. And it ended in a draw, which I saw coming. I mean, Perth were losing their form a little bit. And as well as victory, I couldn't really see how it would go either way, either side winning. So that's why I thought it'd be a draw. And now moving on to Wellington against Central Coast. Now me watching the highlights, I thought the goals that happened were on the back of mistakes. Like in the first minute when Wellington scored on that horrible mistake from, I think it was Casey Dumont for Central Coast. It was actually quite incredible to see Central Coast fight back into this one. Like, really never underestimate Central Coast, as I've learnt from this one. And now Canberra against Adelaide, as I predicted. Canberra against Adelaide, as I thought. Adelaide, I mean, they would have their chances in, and they got a goal, but obviously they just wouldn't be able to hold it. Even against Canberra, like, I saw nothing happening for Adelaide. I just don't see how Adelaide's gonna do well going ahead in the season if now that they've lost to bottom of the table Canberra. And I'm not saying Canberra bottom of the table saying that they're bad in any sort of way. Canberra, they're phenomenal. They just couldn't quite get the results in. But, I thought they would against Adelaide, 3-1. And congrats to Michelle Heyman for 100 A-League women's goals. Yeah, I just only thought Canberra would win because Adelaide just weren't even going to get a draw out of this. Adelaide are just doing horribly this season. And now Brisbane Roar against the Newcastle Jets. Now, this one could have gone either way. I do think Newcastle were the dominant side in this game, hence their deserving win. I'm not too sure about Holly McQueen's red card for Brisbane. But I don't think that would have changed much. Newcastle was still much more the dominant side, and Brisbane, they're not doing well this season either. So that's just why I thought Newcastle would win. And anyway, how did we lose this? How did we lose this game? I have no clue how Western Sydney managed to beat us. How many chances did we have, as well with the penalty that we somehow missed? How did we lose this game? I don't even want to talk about this game, man. I'm just shocked how we managed to lose this game. Anyways, West United against Sydney, and as I said, I don't think Sydney won because they were in Sydney, and that caused West United's disadvantage to lose. Like, West United, I think they did have their fair share of chances, and Sydney, they were just strong enough to get the goal. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. I mean, West United and Sydney, they played phenomenal. It was just cut down to one goal, so it's not like it was a thrashing or anything, despite West United being in Sydney. So yeah, I do think Sydney were the deserving side overall, and hence them getting the win. And this isn't a Unite round match, but because it was kind of in the same week, I guess we'll talk about it. Sydney FC against Central Coast. This was, oh my god, this was a thriller towards the last 15 minutes of those games. Central Coast keeper was sent off after they replaced their other keeper at half-time, which means Ash Irwin, the central defender for Central Coast, went in goals. And I'm not saying I'm blaming her but for the Sydney goal, but it was sort of a bit of a mistake for Sydney's goal. That's what caused them to equalise. But again, never write off the Mariners women, despite the fact that they had a penalty. And Sydney keeper saved it, Jada Wyman. I don't really know what to say. I just never thought Mariners winning. Before I made my predictions, I just never saw too much happening for Mariners, and I thought Sydney were still a strong side overall, but somehow Mariners were able to get over the finish line. And you know what? Props to them. Props to Mariners for getting the win. I mean, it's not that I love Sydney losing, but it's always good that, we don't always see Sydney, winning and drawing and going unbeaten against, everyone else. But that's football. Now, in terms of fans' thoughts, I'm going to quickly just pop onto this post by you Blackback79. Unite round success. Having not attended, but watched a number of games, the travelling numbers are appeared solid enough to build from future years, which that's debatable. I'm not going to give a proper opinion on it. I mean, while we haven't saw too many good crowds as we saw from only a few thousands in the stands. We had a Sydney fan that said had good fun last night. It felt like a bit more of a light-hearted atmosphere than your usual game, but still needs to be decent member discounts. Yeah, a lot of people were saying that we as members should have gotten not like free tickets, but like should have gotten decent discounts. Okay, well, just look back that members, they did get 10% discounts, but I think that was only in a 4-week window during November. So I think that means that after that they wouldn't get discounts. I'm not too sure, but like, I mean, either way, I feel like it doesn't matter what date or time it is. Members should still get those discounts, but they didn't, because I don't know why. Like, a lot of people might have not have heard about Unite Round happening. I know one of my mates didn't, and somehow they thought the Sydney Grand Final deal was going on. But still, I feel like members should have had discounts no matter what date or time it is going forward. Franksky says, pretty harsh to pay 40, general admission. Silver seats are normally 35. They should get discounts automatically, yeah. Because I feel like that's a $5 difference. And if you're not going to get that much of a discount, then I understand why people wouldn't go if they're not going to be bothered getting discounts being a member. I mean, I will say people still should have gone because it's Unite round. It's probably one of the greatest things that could happen to the A-League. But again, I can't control fans going or not. It's on them. I still feel like they should have went to save the horror crowds that we saw. But people do what they want, so whatever. A Jets fan was shocked to find out no memberships gave any discounts, wondering as well if the teams playing at home, the members could attend as normal, which they couldn't. Well, again, everyone should disagree because these aren't home and away games. They're not meant to be home and away games. They're just neutral games. They're all neutral games. The whole point of Unite round is they're all neutral. Like, no matter which teams are playing, you should still go to those games, as I did. As a City fan, like, I didn't just go to the City men's and women's games. Because I'll be there in Sydney, might as well attend the other games that are in Sydney as well. Discounts definitely should have been a thing for members. It's a tough one though. We don't want to dilute the value of the product too much. Yeah, I was going to say that, like, discounts could have been a thing for members, but then again, yeah. Again, A-Leagues and Unite rounds, I still think they've done the best they can to make it in the best interest of fans. They still gave the discounts. I mean, the discounts only happening in November seems a bit too harsh. Like, maybe they could have just done it for a few more months, but again, we're not part of the A-Leagues. We don't know about this. Like, we don't know what goes behind what we can do and what we can't do. Alright, so we said that, yep, members, they did get 10%. So it's a nice bonus if you already decided to go. But again, yeah, probably not enough. Yeah, as I said before, 10% is probably not enough. Yeah, I just don't see how 10% would have been enough. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Now here's an interesting point by Atomic Taurus. Don't know about the men, since I think it was a bonus round for them, but for the women's it wasn't. Transposed to Sydney, some members of the team that lost their home game got a free ticket. Not sure if away fans did as well. Really, least got to do is give them the cost of traveling if one's so inclined. And yeah, that brings back the point where I still have no clue why the women's Unite round was not an additional round, but the men's was. Like, for the home clubs that lost their home fixture in replacement of Unite rounds, I really still feel like I don't know what should have happened. Like, I don't want to be like I don't want to be too harsh but not too soft at the same time. But I guess for home fans, like for example, West United against Sydney, West United was going to have a home game, probably at City Vista. Like, West United members probably still should have gotten a free ticket or at least a decent discount, but I don't think they did, which I don't know. I'm not going to give a proper opinion on what should have happened, because again, I don't want to be too harsh, I don't want to be too soft and all that, but there probably should have been something for home fans for that particular Unite round fixture until it was turned into neutral Unite rounds. I have a Victory fan saying that I've enjoyed it so far and got the pass. It took an extra day aside to hang out in Sydney. I did that as well. I arrived to Sydney on Thursday, had a bit of fun there, so that was good. It was nice to check out Leichhardt Friday and enjoy Allianz last night. It was interesting to have 4 different sets of supporter groups in the stadium by the end of the Victory Central Coast game, yeah. Like, men's doubleheaders were a bit weird because, like, you'll have fans from, like, basically everywhere. Having Sydney, Central Coast, Adelaide, and Victory fans all in one. I love the combined corner of supporting Adelaide, which is very organic and is something the big wigs should take notice of. Yeah, because Victory and the Adelaide support bays were right next to each other. Well, not right next to each other, but Adelaide was in the corner, and Victory was on that end. But luckily, I don't think anything bad happened between them. That said, there was nothing going on outside other stadium except the small Max keep up challenge at Islands, which I saw that happening. It was good. It definitely needs to be improved next year. Fair enough. Like, I never saw too many festivities that was happening like outside the stadiums or like around Sydney, sort of, in relation to soccer or the A-Leagues or Unite round or sort of, which I was kind of disappointed about because I thought it was going to be like the grand final where there was like a lot of festivities that was happening beforehand. But for Unite rounds, I don't think there was too much going on, which is kind of unfortunate. As a Mariners fan, he thought, what, free public transport, expensive, but there was actually free public transport in Sydney, which was good because all you had to do was just show the train people your Unite round tickets, and then they just open the gate for you, easy, which was great. Joe Lolly's left peg said, posted in the post-match third for a game that he enjoyed yesterday, much more than I expected. Great to see decent numbers of Victory, Central Coast United fans, lots of great A-League men's, Australian jerseys cutting around, good vibe all up, yeah, that is true. Would have stuck around for the live side for the Asian Cup opener, but decided pissing down as the game started wrapped up. Yeah, again, it's a good thing I didn't go. Yeah, the rain was just really hell for this one. Western Sydney fan said, was watching the rain radar last night when that happened. It was really this narrow lane of this heavy rain arrowing straight at the SFS and barely a couple kilometers either side of it. Didn't miss much of the live site, never went ahead, there wasn't evidence of being organised, everyone just went to a pub nearby. That's so unfortunate, like all that effort and time for the live site, which never even happens. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking about the live site, it didn't happen, I didn't go to it, so yeah. Big Short says, why not? People love to hate on novelty things in the A-League and especially the origins of Unite round, but the league needs these types of things. Exactly. Like, why bother just hating on something when, I mean, the grand final deal, obviously, like, it deserved as much hate as it gets, but Unite rounds. I mean, yes, it's the same deal with Destination New South Wales, but everything's just much better. Again, it never deserves the negativity despite the horror crowds that we saw. Unite round never deserved any sort of negativity. The one-off weekend where Sydney games happen and the fans that come along, they'll come and support the A-Leagues and their team if they're playing or not. And by support the A-Leagues, I mean also watch teams that you don't support. That was the whole point of Unite round. I would go again. Exactly, I would. If this happens next year, which I'm guaranteed that it will because we still have a year left in the deal, I am 100% going to go again. Regardless of what happens with crowds, regardless of what happens with, atmosphere and which fans go and whatnot, quite frankly, I wouldn't care. I would still go because it's the A-Leagues. And it's a great chance to get some games attended on the list. It's almost like a bucket list. Like if Unite round isn't in your vicinity, it's basically a bucket list. And that's good. Like in life, bucket lists are a great thing. Another Western Sydney fan says was also at the Friday games. The first daily game I've been to over 5 years and I love to go game. Hope it becomes a regular thing. Yeah, because I remember, I think I heard that a lot of kids were going and it was their first experiences with football as well. Which is good because like Unite round being in Sydney where the football happens, where the football is like heard of a lot, in New South Wales, there were a lot of kids there, that it was their first sort of experiences. Would it be better off playing one stadium like Suncorp for Magic Round or scheduling come into play? Now, I understand that. Like if we had Unite round elsewhere, like if we wanted to share Unite round elsewhere, like in Melbourne, we could have it like all men's games at Amy, maybe all women's games at Lakeside. But then again, I still feel like it would have been a little bit too much playing at one stadium instead of two for, in terms of the men's games. Like that's why it was still in Sydney, and especially when the deal had to keep going. Like we have two phenomenal rectangular football stadiums, which is of course Comeback and Allianz, and I feel like that was fair enough to use those two for Unite rounds. Maybe not next year because I guarantee it'll still be in Sydney. But if Unite round, if the deal continues, and if we'd share Unite round elsewhere, like in Melbourne or Brisbane, it would be a decent idea to have it at just like one stadium, so because everyone will know exactly where Unite round's going to be at. But then again, who knows? It'll probably be too much. But here we go, Brisbane Raw saying that scheduling would be the issue, especially if you want the women on the same weekend. Yeah, exactly. Because it's 12 games in the weekends. That's 4 games every 3 days. There's no way you're just gonna have it at just one stadium. It's not gonna be possible. Maybe if Unite round happened like when there was 8-10 teams in the league, but we have 12. And we're going to have 13 or 14 soon. There's no chance we're having Unite rounds at one stadium. With a 5 PM restriction, obviously, because you're not going to have games scheduled before 5 PM because it's just going to be hot as hell. You can really only fit 2 games a night, which we could do right now, but not next year with Auckland and the unlikely Canberra. Yeah, exactly, because we're having new clubs. We're having new teams enter the league as well. It's just not going to be possible having one stadium. Now, there's 2 Brisbane fans talking about if this would be at Brisbane. Ideally, you have 2 stadiums close by, so you can have A-League men's and women's games going at the same time, and people can easily get inside the games. Perry Park and Suncorp wouldn't be too bad if Perry Park was a little bit bigger and better, because yeah, a lot of people, I don't know if it's just a lot of people, I don't want to be like saying a lot of people, but I do as well think Perry Park deserves an upgrade. Because if we just have Suncorp, I feel like Queensland definitely deserves another good football stadium. So if Unite round was going to be in Brisbane, Suncorp and Perry Park would be great. Like Suncorp and Perry Park would be great football stadiums to play it at. Alright, there was a Sydney fan who couldn't go, but it was sort of announced pretty later on, which I disagree with. It was announced October 2023. That's like 3-4 months ago. Unite round had a shit ton of advertising the moment it was announced. It was everywhere. Unite round advertising was everywhere. I'm sure everyone, like all A-Leagues fans, knew about this. Newcastle fan came here to say this: a full year or more gives individuals time to plan, especially given January is often time with people plan the holidays as well. Exactly, because for the 12th to 14th of January, I think that's a perfect time to have Unite round. It's during the holidays as well. Expect everyone to be there, even though they weren't. I know, do see some people, which, I mean, they have gone, but they would have gone, which is good to see. Like, I don't think I've seen really anyone say, I'm definitely not going, it's in Sydney, and I'm not going to forgive what, you know, the APL did with the grand final decision. Like, I don't think I've seen that. Again, I don't blame fans if they really wanted to go but couldn't, because, you know, that means they're supporting it. They're supporting Unite rounds, which is what we need. Again, that's what we need. This is what the league needs. The league needs all its support it can get, no matter, like, because people, I don't know, man. Like, I understand that there's some things about Unite round that could have been better. Then again, not everything is perfect. For everything the A-Leagues has done, they've done well in making Unite round the best it can be. So that'll do for this one. Honestly, I really do hope, and I'm sure that a lot of people do, regardless if it's a success or a failure or not, that Unite round continues, and even beyond the New South Wales deal. Because this is the best thing to happen for celebrating the A-Leagues, or like any particular league in general, like Gather Round for AFL, or Magic Round for NRL. The whole point of these match weeks is that you're celebrating the league. This is a great thing for the particular league that you're supporting, and me being a soccer fan, Unite round is no exception. I mean, despite the fact that we saw some horror crowds, although we saw some good football, or it didn't get the attention it deserved, even though there was a lot of advertising for it, like, there was a lot of ups and downs for Unite round, but once again, Unite round's done everything it can. Destination New South Wales wants to continue it, they should. Like, I really feel bad for the fans that did go, and that they loved it, but then it won't happen next year because we saw some horror crowds. That'd just be generally heartbreaking if it gets scrapped because, you know, we're not going to get decent crowds. And it would be bad if it's scrapped as well because, for next year, because, like, what if they go back to the grand final deal? That would just be, my god. Like, no. We can't have Unite round scrapped at all. Because if we have Unite round scrap, and if we don't want the grand final deal back, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now if we still have 1 year left in this deal? Unite round should 100% be happening next year. No exceptions. That's basically my piece. Thanks for watching. More on the way. Hopefully. I don't know what else to be talking about on this channel. But if something decent happens, then I'll be talking about it. So, I'll see you guys later.